And I just did something really fun. Um, I started a horror campaign with a couple of great players, Bobby, who I've known for a while, and Susan of Dice for Brains, who I just met a couple of weeks ago. Um, but we did the session zero a bit differently. So first of all, it was an online session zero because this is an online game, and the game I want to run um, is a horror campaign, um, which starts with a series of mostly unrelated scenarios, ranging from the early 1900s all the way to the present, and then it takes over with a Delta Green approach. That is, the main characters will then be in the present, and they'll be government agents in charge of either in charge of overseeing the supernatural, even though it officially doesn't exist, or they'll be part of an illegal conspiracy to stop the supernatural. Why illegal? There's because when you can't admit that something exists, you often have to step outside the law. Um, so one thing that I wanted to do with this campaign is that I wanted to create a different mythos. I didn't want, as much as I love the Cthulhu mythos. Great, here I am varying my pronunciation. Mythos or mythos? All right, I'm doubling down on mythos. As much as I love the Cthulhu mythos, I've gotten a little tired of it, you know. So I wanted to create a different mythos, and I also wanted to create a somewhat different relationship with the supernatural. And so the way that Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green have dealt with the Cthulhu mythos is to emphasize the utter despair of fighting the mythos, and the reason that there's basically no hope is that the mythos is going to win. That's it. You know, doesn't matter if you stop this one cult, there's always going to be another cult. You know, and even if your organization manages to keep humanity around for another 100 or 200 years, that's great. Give the gods and the aliens, you know, as much time as they need. They're basically immortal, and they'll eventually crush humanity anyways. So I didn't want that kind of relationship with the gods, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that it's been done over and over again, you know, and I know that some people like it, but I also know, look, for my part, I won't lie. Some people, like I do like it, but I don't like it as my only thing. You know, I like humanity to have a little bit of a chance. I like interactions with these monsters and aliens and gods to not always be so absolute. I want there to be a little more nuance. Yeah. So that was another reason to create our own mythos. And that is what we did. And the tool that we used was Kevin Crawford's Silent Legions. And that is one of the, honestly, that is the best set of rules for creating your own Cthulhu mythos inspired campaign. and you can certainly do it by yourself. You can go through that book, starting on around really like 2/3 of the book is about creating your own mythos and creating your own campaign. And you can do it all by yourself. And I've gone through and I've basically done that before. But this time I thought, why not do it with my players? Why not go through that book with them? And so then we make decisions about who our pantheon of gods are, what their characteristics are, what they focus on, who are the aliens that secretly inhabit Earth or interact with Earth, where do they come from, how long have they been here, what dark desires do they have, what cults are involved in this campaign, and so on. And so that, because before, when I did it by myself, it was a fun GM game. But the thing that I like about creating with the players, well, it's two things. One, they surprise me. This is sort of like the improv rule of, say yes and, don't get, I'm a GM, so sometimes I said no, sorry, because I did have a few things in mind. But as much as possible, when the players came up with something, I did try to ask myself, even if it wasn't what I had in mind, could I work with that? And could I say yes to that? And I'm really glad I did. So that part was fun. It's a fun game. It's fun to play it with other people. Campaign creation is really cool. Now I still have a lot of fleshing out to do. Ultimately, I'm the one responsible for it. But here's the other cool thing. When I share what we've done with the players, that is, when I flesh it out and they see where their ideas went, those ideas are going to be more familiar to them. And that's really necessary because, if you play Call of Cthulhu, if you run it, you kind of, I don't know, so many players are familiar with it that you kind of expect everybody to be familiar with it. And then if you've ever played a game where where one player doesn't know that you're not supposed to record, let's say, a cultist in a police interrogation room as he's praying to his elder god, and then definitely you're not supposed to play back that recording. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you're trying to transcribe it as a detective, but you can tell that like experienced players would say, no, not that. So sometimes there's a lot of like player knowledge that gets into that, and that's okay. I want the players to have that knowledge, and the only way for me to do that was to create the campaign with them. What can I say? I had a lot of fun. We've only done half of it. We're going to do the next half next week, and both Bobby and Susan were game. So they're pretty damn cool too, and that made it even more fun. Anyways, that's about it. Oh, one more thing. This wonderful picture, this wonderful painting of a dead smith who died holding his hammer, is by my friend Journeyman. He's doing this for an upcoming Lamentations of the Flame Princess adventure, and it looks great. So go ahead and check out his stream on Twitch, which is at Journeyman1029. Look up Journeyman1029. You'll find him on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. All right. Thanks, everybody. Peace.